Go. All right, hello everyone. Sega Head here, and I am featuring Polybius in this episode.
Hello, everybody.
And
Welcome to the show.
we're doing what I'm gonna call the definitive tier list for the all the Sega Genesis games that are available on Steam for your enjoyment.
All right.
I call this definitive because most tier lists are done by one person. One person is prone to failure. Two people, though, are less so prone to failure.
And three's a crowd.
The three is just too many people.
Yeah, too many.
All right, so we're gonna start it off here, and these are already set up in alphabetical order, and I like that. We're gonna start off with Alex Kidd. Now we're just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna just put Alex Kidd right here at C for right now. We're gonna go ahead and talk about it because this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put stuff in kind of like where I generally feel, and then we're gonna move it around depending on whether or not it needs to be moved. However, I feel Alex Kidd's a solid C. It's not a great game. It's not even really good, but it's not bad. It's like when you get a C in school. I mean, that's
Hmm.
average. I mean, you didn't do particularly well, but you didn't do bad. There's definitely kids that did worse than a C.
Right, and Alex Kidd is right there in the middle there. I'd say it was Sega's attempt to make a mascot before they had Sonic. So they had Alex Kidd, and Alex Kidd just wasn't cool enough, but he wasn't like dumb enough. He wasn't like Chester the Cheetah
Oh
level.
gosh. It's true. I agree with you on that. Like he was the attempt at a mascot. Like it had like nothing about the game was really terrible. Like the rock paper scissors aspect I thought was kind of neat. The levels were mostly short. They were colorful. The music wasn't memorable, but it wasn't ear grating like Chester Cheetah.
Yeah, I'd say Alex Kidd deserves a C.
Yeah,
In Miracle World, that is.
yeah.
This is the first, and if I'm correct, the only Alex Kidd Genesis game, right?
Yes, this was the only Alex Kidd game on the Genesis. The Master System had like 4 games or something, I think.
Yeah,
But yeah,
correct.
this
Yeah.
was the only Alex Kidd game we had. So yeah, it's a solid C, which is good. So it's a good baseline for how we're gonna base everything else. And next game up here is Alien Soldier. I really didn't know a whole lot about this game other than videos that I saw, but I went ahead and gave it a play for like over an hour. I ended up playing this game. It's more or less a glorified boss rush game. Like the levels are incredibly short, but the bosses are really what make it. But I'm gonna give this game a solid A, and here's why. It's very like you get engaged like really quickly, and like the boss fights are really cool. Like it's treasure, so like the aesthetics are all there. You get a bunch of different guns that you get to choose from. Like for all intents and purposes, your guy's pretty overpowered, and but like the bosses are incredibly tough as well. Like I don't know, it's a solid treasure game. Like it's pick up and play. Like it tells you like the you don't need to look up what the controls or anything do because anytime you start the game literally puts you in like this one screen where you can just mess around with the controls and it tells you what to hit. So it is. It's a definition of a pick up and play kind of game, which I really think the Genesis really did well with those.
And I can't comment too much on this one because I don't think I've ever played Alien Soldier here, but I think it was on a SNES Drunk video. And
He did do a video on this, yes.
yeah, okay. I need to play it then. It's a treasure game, and people like treasure games. So yeah, I'm gonna say, even though I don't play it, I never played it. Seems like a pretty solid boss rush game. It sounds interesting. From my perspective, as somebody who didn't play this game, I would want to play it.
Oh yeah, I would definitely. Yeah, I would say like there's other people who have done in-depth videos on this. That's drunk. I would also recommend. I think Sega Lord X also did a video on Alien Soldier. Check those out. I mean, the game's definitely worth playing. If you want to see actual gameplay footage and stuff, check those out post show. All right, Alien Storm. Alien Storm looks like futuristic Golden Axe, and I don't know. I think I only ever beat the first level in this game and lost complete interest.
Yep.
So I don't really know. Like, I don't know if I actually want to go ahead and just trash this game or if I just want to put it under have not played because I lost interest so fast. And I've tried to play this game like probably a half dozen times, and I always just get bored with it because there's really nothing interesting about it.
It's not interesting. I remember playing this on the Sega Genesis Mega Collection on the
Mhm.
PlayStation Triple, and you're right. The first level was just a snore fest, and the I don't know, the aliens look really, really creepy and weird, and
It
just like unnerving.
No, I agree with that because it is. It tries to go with like the Golden Axe aesthetic, but it is. It's kind of like watered down almost. Like everything does look pretty like. That's why I'm like I don't know. Like do I want to like just since I never bothered to like get anywhere past the first level, like if I should just put under have not played or if I should trash it and give it like a D.
I'd say give it a D because
All
we at
right,
least played the first level,
it's
and it was
true.
just that kind of boring that deserves a D.
Yeah, I'll agree with that because I've tried that game multiple times. I just can't get into it. Now, oh, here we go. Here's a game that everybody has ever probably played. Altered Beast.
And has an opinion on.
It's true. Now, I've heard somebody else say this, and I actually think it was Sega Lord X. The game, and I agree with this because I beat this game one time, and I agree this game is worth one playthrough. But I have never once, ever since I beat this game, wanted to play it again.
I can agree with you. Altered Beast is a good game. I would say it'd be in the B tier honestly because while the visuals are really good, the
Hmm.
sound design is really good, the gameplay is pretty fun, but its value for replayability is low. Altered Beast is a good arcade port for the Genesis, and I think it was a pack-in title for the Genesis. So,
Sure, you're right,
um,
because the Genesis it was a very ambitious arcade port. You're right about that, and it did do a good job at that.
right, and you had like voice samples like "Welcome to your doom."
It's true. And I've
This is
never
very memorable.
I think we should try this as a two-player also, because it is a short game.
Yeah, I could do that.
We'll go ahead and put it at B right now, because I do want to put it ahead of Alex Kidd. So at the very least, if it does move, it'll be a high C, but we'll put it right now at low B.
Yeah,
All right, and Beyond Oasis. Okay, this is an easy A right here. Again, it's one of the most impressive games on the Genesis. It's got great sound design. It's short, is what some people might say is a bad thing about it, but I actually don't mind that it's a pretty short game. The difficulty scales very well. It's pretty intuitive. They like just pick up and play. Like you can just run around and slash. The combos are all easy. They're in the manual if you have that. And there's also a book in the first castle that literally tells you all the commands, and they're really simple. Uh,
mm.
Other than that, like the game, it's very forgiving in difficulty. Like you get a lot of healing items and whatnot in it. And it's like really not much more to say than that. I mean, it's like a top-down RPG with like light on the RPG elements, like more like Zelda, I guess you would think. But yeah, I mean, as far as Genesis games go, this is one of the few types of titles that are on the game, and it does it really well.
Yep, I don't have much to comment about this one other than being watching it be played, and it looks like a pretty good game. Visually pleasing.
That it is. And next, then is Biohazard Battle, which I played a bit of this game, and I'm gonna say this is easy B. I'm gonna put it above Altered Beast even. It's a good shmup. It's visually impressive. It's different. You're not playing as a spaceship in this game. You're playing as like some kind of like weird giant insect, which you get four different choices on which ones you want to play. So I mean, you got that. You got selection. Also, it's two player, and it's not particularly brutal. That was some of the turnoffs for some other shmups for me is that sometimes they're just overly difficult. Biohazard Battle's hard, but it's not that bad.
Haven't played this one. I've never even heard of it until now.
This would be a pretty cool one to I think maybe this would be another game maybe we should do a two-player play of this one because I want to say it's pretty short. I want to say I got to the fifth level in this game before. I haven't beaten it, but I played a good bit of it.
Okay, can do.
Alrighty, so then what do we got here next? Bonanza Boys.
Oh man,
Oh, here's one. Here's one. Okay, so
where do we put this one realistically?
this is a tough one because like it's it's not a good game, but it's far from being a bad game.
Right. I mean, the concept is cool. You got split screen multiplayer, and you got your own little portion of the screen to look at. And I mean, it's not the music isn't very memorable, and I mean the gameplay is memorable. Like I know what Bonanza Boys is like. I know what it plays like. Do I want to play Bonanza Boys? Not particularly.
No. And we tried
Uh,
playing this two-player before, and that usually doesn't end up working out that well.
yeah, it's one of those games where you don't want to play it. You just kind of want to make fun of it.
It's true. Like, it doesn't it doesn't really have a lot. The visuals are very unique. Let's go ahead
Yeah,
and put it that way. It's a unique looking game. I like that it had stealth mechanics in, because, like, again, like, very few games. I mean, you had the old Metal Gear games like Crackdown, which we'll be coming up on pretty shortly here. But there weren't a lot of games with stealth mechanics. Stealth mechanics work pretty decently, and most of the music is bad, actually, except for the first level. The first level in Bonanza Boys actually has a catchy tune,
yeah.
but
I just can't remember it.
like all the other levels, like, are pretty bland. Um,
Well, I wouldn't say it's a D, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a C either.
it's a tough game to place.
I'd probably put it at the end of the C list.
I agree. I don't want to put Bonanza Boys at a D because it's really not. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
I've played a lot of Columns, but I've never played Columns 3.
I think I've played. Wait, which column came on the six pack? Was it columns
Regular
one?
Columns, yeah.
Well, I can't imagine columns three being much different, but I don't think I played it either.
Yeah,
Maybe I have, I just don't remember.
I'm gonna put it here, and for regular Columns, I'm putting it a solid B. I like puzzle games. I like Columns.
I do like columns too. I think Tetris is better, but I mean, columns wasn't a bad substitute.
I agree, and I mean, like, nothing really else. It's the classic match three. I mean, puzzle games today are still doing stuff like this.
Yeah, classic formula. It's hard to go wrong. Columns, I think it deserves a B.
It
Not
is.
much else to it.
It's true. It came on six pack, so, like, again, a lot of games that came on six pack, I have a fondness for, because um, when I first got my Sega Genesis, the only game I had was six pack for a long time, and it's because it came with the console.
Yeah.
So I have a soft spot for a lot of the games on there, Columns being one of them, so I have played a lot of it. I like it. Not much more to be
Yep.
said. Comic Zone, it's gonna be a higher rated one, but it's tough to know where to put it.
That game is so damn hard.
That's what it really comes down to, because sound design, visually, it might be it's definitely one of the best visual games on the Genesis. It controls well. It also, because I have a soft spot for this, it utilizes the 6-button controller, and I like that.
Ah, I
Now,
didn't know that.
yes, you can, for using items, you can, it uses the 6-button controller configuration, can work for it. Now, the only problem that I do have with Comic Zone is, yes, difficulty, and it is, you can say it with me, everybody, artificial lengthener.
Yep.
The game itself, like, if you pull up a long play of it, it's not a very long game.
Yeah.
And
It just ramps up too hard, way too
yes,
fast.
yeah, the first enemy you fight, you're gonna realize, like, if you're familiar with beat 'em ups, the first enemy you fight takes way too many hits to kill, and it only gets worse.
Yep.
But that doesn't make it a bad game. But yeah, it was artificial lengthener. It's like, I think, like, I don't know, maybe it was just from, like, the sound design, the voice samples, and, like, how good the graphics were, maybe, like, that it ate up a lot of space, so they had to make everything difficult to make the game last longer. I'm not really entirely certain either way, but still, it makes this game hard to place, because it checks so many boxes for a good game, but at the same time, it does feel unfairly difficult. Like, not just like one of those, like, not a game that's, like, difficult that like still feels fair. Like Comic Zone, it dips into the unfair on difficulty.
I personally would give Comic Zone a C plus. They tried.
C plus. Put Comic Zone under here. It might move up. We'll see. We'll see. It might be a B, but for right now, I can agree on that because the difficulty does just make it a little too much of a bear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's another game that I actually just played for like over an hour earlier to get a better idea on it is Crackdown. And I can honestly say I found it very boring.
Crackdown. I don't think I've ever played Crackdown.
It's essentially like, okay, so it's like top down. It's got pseudo stealth mechanics where like essentially you just put yourself flat against a wall, which allows you to kind of dodge bullets from guys shooting at you. And like the stealth mechanics kind of suck. Like sometimes you walk behind a guy and he doesn't notice you. Sometimes you walk behind a guy and he does notice you, and then he just starts shooting at you. So like I found
Hmm.
that to be kind of unfair. Like you just run around, you plant bombs, and then in levels with pitfalls, they are way too liberal with the hitbox on those the pitfalls because sometimes like you're not even close to the pitfall and your guy just falls and dies. So that I
Yeah.
had a bit of a gripe about. Other than that, like it was a stealth game. It was supposed to be a stealth game, but I felt like guys like you'd walk behind guys and they just turn around and shoot you. What's the point of like trying to like watch some guys walking or try to like maneuver your way behind somebody when they just immediately turn around and shoot anyway?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have much input on this one.
I
Um,
I'm gonna give Crackdown a D. I'm gonna say it's better than like a lot of people like this game, but I honestly from what I played, I found it being more of a chore than anything.
all right.
So we're gonna go ahead and give this a D, and then on to the next one is Decap Attack. If you have something good to say about this game, go ahead. The only reason I will take this game to task is because I think it looks like absolute literal garbage. Visually, I hate it. Gameplay's not
I
bad. I just hate the changes they made between this and the Japanese version.
Oh yeah, the Japanese version was a completely different skin game.
It was, and I actually liked how that looked. Like I think like Decap Attack just kind of looks gross, and I don't like it.
I mean, I could agree with that. It's not the best visually, but it is a fun game. I remember playing it on the Genesis Mega Collection, and I thought I got pretty far into it. I don't think I've ever finished that game, but Decap Attack is decent. It's I would say it's better than Alex Kidd at least.
Okay. Man, like the thing that I just couldn't get over, and I try not to limit myself to this, but there's actually another game that's on this list that I went over that has some visuals that are so appalling to me I can't get past it. But Decap Attack, I don't know, like I couldn't see myself putting it higher than a C. But if there's any way you want to defend it, now's the time.
I wouldn't say it's anything above a C either.
All right, so we're gonna go put it below Comics and but above Alex Kidd then.
Yeah, it sounds fair.
Okay, here we go. Dynamite Heady. Dynamite Heady. That's an easy B.
Yeah,
In fact, that's
Dynamite Heady.
probably the highest B on here so far too.
Dynamite Heady is a tough game, but it's also a good game
It
and
is
very visually appealing.
great visuals. I like the whole motif of like you're playing on like a play stage of like where you've got like all the stuff where like even like you go behind like the set pieces and it's like you're on like a play stage. I really like that. The
Hmm.
different abilities that Dynamite Heady gets are pretty cool. The game's also long, but it doesn't feel like too much of a chore. It does like again, it's one of those. It's just like pretty much every treasure game is like this. The bosses like are really the hard part. A lot of the levels for Dynamite Heady aren't bad. It's the bosses are pretty difficult, but again, like they're all memorable. I mean, everybody remembers the inflatable dog.
Yeah,
Dynamite Heady, it's a solid game. It's fun. It checks all the boxes. Like every treasure game, really, it is good.
I would agree with everything there. It's one of those kind of like mascot games, and there aren't many of those anymore, and Treasure did those right, or at least did Dynamite Heady right. Difficult game, fun game. I like Dynamite Heady. Yeah, I would say this is a B at least for sure.
Heck yeah. Now, next game, this is I have a soft spot for Echo Junior. It's like one
Now
of the
I
first games I ever rented when I was a kid, and it's a puzzle game. And why I have fond memories is because it's my dad doesn't like video games, but it's like the only video game he ever played with me in my life, and
oh yeah,
we beat this game together. And I really want to say it's a good puzzle game. Like it's impossible to lose actually. Like as long as you don't give up, you can't lose at the game.
okay.
And like
I
honestly,
never played it. Yeah.
it's a good game. Like if you've got like a kid that like you've got an old console and like a kid wants to play a game, Echo Junior's a great game for that. I'm gonna give that a solid B because it is. It's a game meant for kids. And as a
Right.
kid, I really liked the game.
Makes sense. I never played it, so uh Echo Juniors, yep, B.
B. Now,
B.
Echo the Tides of Time. Now, if I were to just place this right now, Echo the Tides of Time is the best game in the Echo franchise. I love Echo the Dolphin. To me, that's an easy S. Visuals, the sound, everything. I mean, between traveling to the future, different futures, good futures, bad futures, all the like different stuff. Great music, great visuals with like the whole like the 3D stages almost look like they were done in mode 7. I mean, the sprite scaling is really done well.
Yep. I
Also, the
mean,
HR Geiger aspect. I mean, you get more of the vortex than you got in the original game. Like everything is like the creep factor's cranked up.
mhm.
I really like. I mean, again, like I think it's the best game in the series, and to me, I give Echo the Tides of Time an S.
It's hard to argue with that. The gameplay was like, I don't know, it filtered me pretty hard, but everything else about Echo, both Echo games, in my opinion, deserve the S, especially in the sound design and the
Heck yeah.
visuals.
Oh
I
heck
can't
yeah.
argue with an S.
Oh yeah. Now, just because I don't want to stack both Echo games on S, since Echo One is the weaker one, I am putting it in an A. But again, I'm putting it at the highest A possible. Actually, I
Mm.
prefer a little bit how Echo looks in the first game to the second game. However, the second game, uh, just the gameplay was just better. Just geez, what's the word I'm looking for here? Uh,
Hmm.
it was made better, but I want to use a better phrasing to just say the gameplay was made better. I can't think of the word I'm looking for right now. But
Huh. Okay.
yeah, I say like really, I'd say like there's some visual designs I do prefer in the first Echo to the second one, but I think as a whole the second one is better. And also, the second one does not have Welcome to the Machine, which is one of the worst levels in any game ever, and it still pisses me off. Also, Echo 1 has Dark Water, which is a really cheap and unfair level. Echo 2 dialed back on the cheap and unfair levels, which is a plus.
Hmm.
All right, next game, eSWAT. I played this game a couple of times. I didn't even get apparently there's a part where I remember watching a video on this game like a while ago. Apparently there's a part when you go from just being like a cop running around to like controlling a giant mech. I never even got that far in the game. I never got to the mech part of the game.
Me either. I remember playing eSWAT though, and I remember it being pretty generic.
Yeah, I would say,
Not too
but
bad,
like
not too
I'm
good.
guessing that like I don't know, like the whole mech part might be like a big part of it. So like since I haven't even gotten that far, I don't even know if I want to rank it because it's like if that's a big part of the game and I haven't gotten to it, then I feel
Yeah.
unjust really going after it. Okay, now here's a game right here, Eternal Champions. I have no problem right now, right off the bat, giving this game an F.
Okay.
It is a
I
terrible fighting game, and also like I never got into Mortal Kombat. Like Mortal Kombat, the big selling point is like the first three Mortal Kombats on the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, no matter where you play them, are the most generic fighting games ever. Everybody
mm,
controls exactly the same. There's very
Yeah.
few differences in most of the special attacks. Everybody liked the blood. Now,
Yeah, it
Eternal
was about the blood.
Champions has the most overtly graphic death scenes. Like it's comparable to like modern day like Mortal Kombat with like how like gruesome they are, and it literally disgusts me. Like I hate it. I watched a long play. I've tried to play this game before. I hated it, and I think I had it on a long play before when I was doing something, and I'm like, this game is just disgusting, and it controls like crap, and it doesn't even look very good. I'm giving Eternal Champions an F.
Okay. Yeah, I've never played this one either. So, yeah. I'm watching a video of it right now. It looks pretty stupid.
Yes. So we got that out of the way. I could tee off on that game for longer too. Believe me, I think it's just Sega. What the hell were you doing? Anyway, Fatal Labyrinth. Fatal Labyrinth. Fatal Labyrinth is cool to a degree. Now, again, it's like a really old rogue-like, I guess. Like the first Diablo, stuff like that. You got
Uh-huh.
randomly generated dungeons. Well, floors in one dungeon, singular. Randomly generated floors with again, it's only like certain enemies that you can get, they scale, they get stronger and stronger as you go up, which means items are randomly placed, stuff like that. So like again, it's high replayability if you like stuff like this. And the game actually doesn't control bad. It's decently fun. Like
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of roguelikes, so like I didn't play it a whole heck of a lot, but honestly, like I would give it a solid B.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've played this one either.
Like I played it for a while before. Like if you like games like again high replayability because it's randomly generated. Like I don't know. Like it's a pretty cool game. If you like this style of game, you're probably gonna like Fatal Labyrinth. I'm not the biggest fan, but like by playing it, I could understand why people who like this style of game would like Fatal Labyrinth.
Okay.
All right, Flicky.
Flicky. I know
I
Flicky.
don't like Flicky.
I kind of like Flicky, but it's very simple. It's a very simple game.
Yeah.
There's not much to say about it. You collect Flickies and you avoid the cats, and you get the Flickies to the door, and then it's a very arcade-like game. But it's not a bad one in my opinion. I think Flicky's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So like I don't. I was playing Flicky earlier because this was another game that I wanted to, because I knew it was simple and I wanted to get some play time in before I could like pass any kind of judgment. Okay. So like what got me was again this is like one small thing, but at the same time since the game is so simple, it's pretty much just made up of small things.
Yeah.
You can't hold on to an item like if you grab an item that you can throw at a cat. Like if you jump, you throw it. The jump and throw button is the same button.
Right, right.
And I don't that pissed me off. And
Sure.
I don't know, like the game is really simple. Like so I don't want to judge it too harshly because I mean it is what it is. But I like to think like I don't know, if you were a kid and somebody spent like $60 on Flicky, I would be pissed
Yeah,
off.
it's way overpriced for like for a full price Genesis game back in the day. Yeah, Flicky was not
Yeah.
worth buying at
However,
that price.
I don't want to drag that because again, this is like if you're buying like the collection here on Steam, and it's like okay, you've got all of these games for like cheap. You spent $5 and you got like all these games.
Hmm.
So like I don't know, Flicky, like I don't know, like it's not a bad game. Again, like I don't know, should like throw it under like a C.
I'd probably throw it in C. It's generic. Oh,
We'll
it's
throw
not generic,
we'll throw
but
it
I mean it's
we'll throw it up against Nanner Boys.
and like it had an influence because I mean Flickies are in Sonic,
It's true. It's true. Flickies are in Sonic.
so it had a little bit of influence there.
It's true. Bringing in those little guys like Flicky and Cucky.
Yeah,
Cucky.
yeah.
All right, so Game Ground. Game Ground is it's not really a top-down shooter. Like it's kind of is, I guess. But at the same time, like you top down, you're on a map and there's enemies, and it's either kill all the enemies, save somebody, or like reach a certain point. Um, it's not bad. My biggest complaint about it is that it's kind of slow.
I'm watching a video of it right now, and it looks pretty slow.
That's my biggest complaint. Like the first levels are really slow, and like the later you get, it's just you're swarmed with more enemies. So like even though you move kind of slow, like you have to like be reacting quickly to like what's going on around you. It's not my kind of game though. Like I've played Gain Ground before, and I usually just get kind of bored with it.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty decent game, but like at the same time, like I don't know. Like I personally, I would probably put it at a C myself, just because like it's just not my kind of game.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
All right. Now here's another game, and I want to say I know this is a uh, arcade port. It's Galaxy Force 2. Now I never played the arcade game, but I know that I don't like the Sega game or the Sega Genesis game, I should say.
Hmm.
I kind of feel like it's kind of like Star Fox ish, but like I don't know. I could just anytime I play the game, I just feel like I'm constantly getting hit and I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. It looks a little Space Harrier-ish too. I have not much to comment on this
I don't
one.
really either, so I'm gonna put it under here because like I really couldn't do much in it. So now the Golden Axe series, I'm gonna just skip ahead to Golden Axe 1 here because again 6 pack. That's a solid B game right there for me.
Right.
It's a good beat 'em up. It's weapon based. You got magic. Like I don't know. Like you got your 3 characters play. It's good multiplayer, but much better multiplayer. Like every beat 'em up really is better multiplayer. Like
Yep.
I'd probably put Golden Axe like actually at the high B here.
It was definitely the game to play with your friends
And
on the 6 pack.
outside the arcade version, I mean, it had more levels in the Genesis version too, which was awesome. And I remember playing this game a lot when I was a kid with friends. Like I played it a lot with my brother, and I played it with a lot with Josh.
Yeah.
Name drop old JT. Now Golden Axe 2 and Golden Axe 3, I have like no experience with pretty much. I only ever played the first Golden Axe.
I'm pretty sure I played 2 and 3 before, but I don't really know where to like rank them. It's been so long since I've played
So
two
we're
and
gonna just
three.
kind of like throw them here for right now. Okay, now it's like it's controversy time. It is like it's Sega Head's hot takes here, and I mean the
Uh oh.
hottest takes. I mean you're walking into the local fast food restaurant, and you're like, I want the hottest take, and you just put your hand down on a flat top until it burns. It's like we're talking
Okay.
hot takes. I don't think Gunstar Heroes is a very good game. Now, a lot of people think this is either the best or one of the best games on the Sega Genesis. I don't particularly care for it. I think I don't know, like running. It's just, I don't know. Okay, so you're taking running guns. Most running guns are like Contra. Like you get shot, you die. That's what Contra is. That's what Metal Slug is. Life goes on. Now, Gunstar Heroes has a life bar in it, and again, it's like all treasure games. It's mostly meant for the boss fights. I mean, you run through the levels and you shoot stuff, and you get the whole motif of that, and you've got the typical treasure big bosses. You get the nice. It looks nice. The soundtrack is good. I get bored as hell playing this game though.
I've never played through much of Gunstar Heroes, but the gameplay that I did do, it looked very much like a treasure game. It has a lot of personality.
It does. That's why
Um,
I probably won't put it lower than a B. But I guess that's why I'm saying it's still a hot take, is because most people like that's an easy S. I can guarantee you for most
yeah.
people, Gunstar Heroes is an easy S, and for me, it's an easy B. And probably like I actually like Dynamite Heady better, and I like Biohazard Battle better, so it's probably gonna go here.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean that's really like the biggest complaint. It's like I just find the game kind of boring. Kid Chameleon. Okay, boy, Kid Chameleon. Kid freaking Chameleon. To me, that's an easy C.
Um.
Visually, not
ah,
very impressive. The soundtrack is like non-existent. The levels are kind of unique. There's a lot of different. backdrops that you get, and there's a lot of different power ups too, which makes it pretty cool. All with their own unique, like the knight can climb walls, the samurai is well, like a samurai.
Right, Kid Chameleon. It's just, I mean, it seems like a Kirby kind of game, sort
Yeah,
of. There's a lot of different abilities that you can use and utilize that the game puts out there for you.
and there's like 80
And
levels in this game or something, isn't there?
I can't remember how many levels are, but that'd be a lot. If it is, that's quite impressive. But
That's easy
Kid
enough. You
Chameleon.
can run a quick Google here. How many levels are Kid? I know there's a crap ton.
Okay.
That's the reason
Yeah,
why I do that.
I don't know. I think I would probably give Kid Chameleon like a B minus in my opinion. That would just be my personal
103.
list. Wow. That's a lot of levels.
And I know it's possible. It's easy to skip levels. I know there's like actually I want to say like this first or second level. There's a way to skip to like level 80 or something. That's probably why I was thinking of that number.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean like Kid Chameleon, like I don't know, like low B. I don't know. I would want to put Kid Chameleon ahead of Comic Zone though, because I actually think Comic Zone's better than Kid Chameleon.
Okay. Up to you though. I mean, it's your list.
Yeah, we're gonna put it. We're gonna put it as C here for right now, because it's definitely better than Decap Attack.
Okay.
Uh, Landstalker, another treasure game. Ah, geez, Landstalker. Okay, so I played Landstalker this past summer. That is past summer. I mean summer of 2020, which was not the summer of love. Maybe it was. I don't
No.
know. Spent a lot of it playing Sega Genesis, so I don't really know. So Landstalker visually looks pretty cool. Story pretty cool. Biggest problem is that I had with it was hit detection. I don't think it really is a problem with hit detection. I think the problem is isometrics. Like, okay, so like remember
Right.
like when you get like okay, here's a game that like everybody and their mothers played, and it's because it's one of the best games ever made. Super Mario RPG.
Okay.
You're playing Super Mario RPG. You're trying to make a jump, and you fall because of isometrics suck wieners. Well,
Yeah.
Landstalker has jumping just like that on a grander scale because the game, instead of just being an RPG that has slight platform mechanics, it's a game that is chock full of them because it's kind
Okay.
of like a top-down adventure game with some RPG elements. Um, this game, it starts off not that bad, and then it gets up to some like ridiculous. In fact, there's a maze. There's a forest maze in one of them where it's like literally like kind of like a hedge maze that you would like try to find your way through in isometrics. So there's
Oh
literally
man.
paths you just can't see because the camera sucks.
Right.
Yeah, like that's one thing. Like gameplay wise, wise, it's pretty cool. But I think they added too much of that crap in there. Like this game literally infuriated me. And I want to say it's like a huge design flaw, but at the same time, visually, musically, story wise, like actual fighting is really cool. It's just when they try to throw that jam that crap down your throat. And also, there's one time when you have got to like climb to the top of a castle that has all this platforming that, my God, it's just terrible. You miss platforms left and right. But
Yeah.
other than that, like I'm gonna give it's a solid B. It's probably better than Gunstar Heroes. In fact, I'd put it up
Yeah.
higher than Dynamite Heady. I'm gonna go ahead and put it as a high B.
No experience with Landstalker for me.
Like honestly, that game, if that game didn't have crappy isometrics stuff like that, yeah, I would probably give it an S. But
Yeah.
that really hurts it. Light Crusader, another treasure game. Uh, this is late. The one thing I know about Light Crusaders, I don't know about all the other ones, but I think a lot of treasure games were pretty late in the Genesis library.
Mhm.
But Light Crusader, when I came out like 1995. Um, it's not bad. Like you go to a town, like town has like a bunch of issues. Like actually, that's one thing I do remember the story of this game, kind of, sorta. Is like your guy's at night. He's like on vacation or something, and he goes to this town, and like everybody in this town's like, oh man, like everything here just sucks. And
Yeah.
this guy's like, oh, okay, let me see what I can figure out. You like push some guy's tombstone. You go down to like this freaking dungeon and just start killing things. Uh, I don't know, like it controls better than Landstalker. However, it doesn't have the charm that Landstalker does. Like Landstalker's dialogue is very good. Like especially that's what really saved Landstalker was dialogue too.
Mhm.
The dialogue was good. The fighting was solid. It's just that freaking isometric stuff. Now, Light Crusader suffers from that same crappy isometric stuff,
Mhm.
and it has a lot less of the charm. So I'm gonna give this a C. It's definitely better than Kid Chameleon though. Not as good as comic. I'd probably rather play Comic Zone though.
Yeah. No. No experience on this one either.
All right,
So and
Fantasy Star 3. Well, Fantasy Star 3 is easy because it's the weakest of all the Fantasy Star games. In fact, this game was so. I think this game was made in like under a year or something. Like the
mm,
you can tell like the soundtrack's not bad, but the like the battle theme loops like every like 4 seconds or something ridiculous like that because they had no time. They just literally had to like crap this game out.
uh-huh.
It's interesting in the aspect that it tells a bunch of different stories because it is. I mean, it's the Generations of Doom is the subtitle, and
Yeah, and you play as different generations, right?
yes,
As your
throughout the game you do.
okay.
Like you win which is it's funny because it's the same thing every time. You go there, like it's like so it's like okay, it's like you got like this girl, and then you got your like big character. It's like oh I'm gonna run off, I gotta like kill this guy or do whatever, and then like you meet another girl around the way, and then like you finish up that, and you end up back at the castle, and then it's like okay, you've got two girls, pick which one you marry, and you do that like you do that like 5 different times.
Oh
And
yeah.
literally, all it changes is what the next main character's hair is going to be, because I think he always has the hair color that whoever he picked his mom to be is.
Mm,
Uh, other than that, I mean, it's a solid C. Where it's going to
okay.
be at in C, I'll figure out later. But we can get to the better Fantasy Star heroes like Fantasy Star 2. Uh, Fantasy Star 2. Story alone, visuals and story for being an early game, it's an A. Now,
Mhm.
it suffers from a lot of issues that we had in 8-bit JRPGs. Ridiculous amounts of grinding and very esoteric at sometimes on like what you're supposed to do. Like it literally makes no sense sometimes what you have to do. Like especially like the all of the like the gimmick they have in the dungeons, like where there's a foreground, like you've got the bird's eye perspective. You're watching your main characters, and then you'll see like pipes and stuff that are on the ceiling from your bird's eye perspective, and that kind of pisses me off. Every dungeon is a maze. Like
Mm,
there's a ridiculous amounts of dead ends and just winding paths that take you nowhere. Um, However, as far as sci-fi fantasy stories go, it's one of the best. But it does get pretty ridiculous with like not giving you much information. Like you have a general idea of what you want to do, but like you don't know really what to do. Like without a walkthrough, I probably would never have beaten that game.
mhm.
And one little gee whiz fact I do want to give out about that is at some point, I don't remember for which level it is. You have to teach one of your characters how to play a piano because there's a piano at the end of one of these dungeons that you have to play to open up a door. Now, now the
Yeah.
guy the music teacher in the game, if you walk up to him, you can pick whoever you want. If you pick any of the male characters and have him teach him, he charges you like really cheap rate. But if you pick any of the female characters, he charges you a ridiculously high rate. And it does the game like the translation, it doesn't tell you why. Like he's just a complete dick to the girls, and he's really nice to the guys. Well, in the Japanese version, he's gay, and they make it obvious that the guy's gay.
Okay.
But like that, I found that really funny. Like it is like I looked that up and it's like no, it's like he's very flamboyant and obviously homosexual in the Japanese version.
Mm. Well, I know about Fantasy Star, the games, but like I just never really played through any of them. But I know that they have a lot of fans, and the only play one I play was online and 1 and 2.
Oh yeah. Now Fantasy Star 4, that's it. That's an easy ass. It's the best, bar none, by far the best JRPG on the console. Um, Phantasy Star 4, I mean, visually great, soundtrack amazing, story is very good. Like everything about the game, again, it fixed everything that was wrong with Phantasy Star 2 that I named. Like they're still grinding in the game, but it's far less than Phantasy Star 2. It's still challenging. A lot of the bosses still offer a lot of challenge in this game. But like I've said this in a lot of my LPs before that like Phantasy Star 4 though holds up. It stands right there with the king of JRPGs at the time, the SNES. It stands right there with like Earthbound, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 6, Super Mario RPG, any of those games. Final Fantasy 4 is right there next to them. And if you've only ever really if you're a big fan of JRPGs and you never gave the Genesis a shot, you're really missing out with Phantasy Star 4. Great game.
All right.
Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. I'm gonna let you
Uh,
take this one because I played this game like once.
it's Puyo Puyo. I mean, I'd give it a. I mean, it's hard to give Puyo Puyo like an A because it's just Puyo Puyo. But that's all it is, and it's. I mean, it's Doctor Robotnik themed, and it's got the characters from the Saturday morning cartoon version of Sonic, which it had Scratch and Grounder, and it had like Pingus, Doctor Robotnik. Geez, Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine was a good game. It's just like it's just a reskin of Puyo Puyo. I'd probably give it like a high B. I mean, it's a great puzzle game.
All right,
I'd
Dr.
probably put it
Robotnik.
below. Yeah, there you go. That's probably about right there.
All right. Oh yeah, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Okay, here we go. Another six-pack game, The Revenge of Shinobi. This game, uh, it's really good. I mean, if you've played, like, I'm gonna say, like, we'll be coming up on it here shortly, but like, I mean, Revenge of Shinobi is much better in like every single way. But uh, Revenge of Shinobi is a solid game. It's a little slow paced. It's I beat this game like once. Uh, I don't really know what else to say about it. I know the infinite shuriken trick. Like if you go into options before you start the game and you put your shurikens on zero and you wait like 30 seconds, it might be a minute. I'm not sure. The zero turns into an infinite sign. I do that every time I play this game. Other than that, I don't really have much to tell you.
Yeah, it's Shinobi. It's
It's kind of
I wouldn't.
slow. Like that's my biggest gripe is that it's slow. The game is slow, and it's you're playing as a ninja. Why is the game slow? This is blast processing for God's sakes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd put Revenge of Shinobi a low B. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Ristar.
Ristar.
Ristar is essentially Sonic on the cutting room floor. Like
Yes.
it's a lot of stuff that was scrapped from Sonic games and Sonic teams like, hey, let's throw together a game with all of the stuff that we dropped from Sonic games. You got Ristar. And you know what? Ristar is one of the best freaking games on the Sega Genesis. It
I can
has
agree with that.
amazing visuals. The soundtrack is awesome. The whole motif of like just like grabbing guys and bashing your head against them is great. Um, you use the environment to your advantage because you can just reach out, grab things, and you climb walls doing that. You swing up and get higher doing that. I mean, heck, I mean, all the bosses are pretty cool too. I mean, jeez, like I can't say really enough good things about this game. Like this is an
Ristar is
easy
pure
A.
soul.
It is. This
It
is an
oozes soul.
heck yeah. That's an easy A. It might even
Yep.
be an S.
Yeah, I was thinking either A or S. I can't decide which.
I can't either. Like it's either high A or low S. I'm not sure. I kind of want to, but I don't. I'm gonna put it high A right now. But we'll do a reshuffle at the end. Like if we'll do a quick glance and see if we want to move anything around.
Okay.
Shadow Dancer. Shadow Dancer is another Shinobi type game, and it is. I believe it's an arcade port. I want to say Shadow Dancer was an arcade port. Um, you're on a timer. You have a dog with you, which I always thought was pretty cool. You can sick your dog on things. It's more so like you can tell it's arcadey because You're not just running through a level. There's also like people that are tied up that you have to save and like stuff like that. The levels are shorter. I actually prefer Shadow Dancer to Revenge of Shinobi, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it like I'm gonna go ahead and like put it like around there. It's a pretty fun. It's more pick up and play than the other games are. It's pretty like all Shinobi games. It's pretty punishing, but I like Shadow Dancer well enough.
Yep. I don't have much to say about it. I'm watching a video. It looks like I'd have more fun with that than Shinobi,
Yeah, it
Revenge of
is. It's a
Shinobi.
little bit
Yeah.
faster paced. Now we got Shining Force 1 and Shining Force 2. Um, these are what I would really we got to do both at the same time because they're very similar games. Um, Shining Force 2 is a lot longer than the original Shining Force. They
Mm-hmm.
are, and I get that SNES Drunk did a video on this, not on these games in particular, but one of the videos he did where he was talking about gateway games, like a game like you're not familiar with the genre, but you want to get into it, so there's like something that like kind of holds your hand, not necessarily holds your hand, but like gets you more acclimated, but isn't too punishing. Shining Force is definitely that series. There's no permadeath like there is in a lot of other games. You can retreat from battles. The main character has a spell called Egress that literally makes you run away from the battle and takes you back at a hub where you can like buy items and also revive characters and stuff like that. And you can also abuse it by just continuously running away from the same battle and leveling up guys. But it is the games are very forgiving, and but that doesn't mean they're bad. Their stories are solid. The graphics are really nice. Like it's got like if you're comparing it to like other games like War Song on here, which was the first Langgrasser game, or even the Fire Emblem games on the SNES, Shining Force looks a lot better than all of those games.
Yeah. Never really played them. But yeah, it's a strategy RPG, right?
Yep. However,
Okay.
like Shining Force 2 is definitely better than Shining Force 1. Like Shining Force 2, I'll go ahead and give an S to, and Shining Force 1, we'll go ahead and give an A to here.
Okay.
Because Shining Force 2, I mean, these are definitive games on here. Now, of course, you got the first one, Shining in the Darkness. This game is an easy C. Shining in the Darkness is a 1991 kind of dungeon crawler RPG. It is super grind heavy, and it has a ridiculously high encounter rate. And you, your characters just kind of feel like they suck. I think it's better. Actually, I don't know if it is better than Phantasy Star 3. I really don't know. Like story wise, it's pretty cool. Like aesthetic wise, it looks really nice. The music's pretty
Mm-hmm.
good, but it's just ridiculously. It suffers from a lot of those old, like the 8-bit style RPGs still, with just too high encounter rate, too much grinding, and being a little too vague on what you're supposed to do next.
Yep. No
Uh,
opinion on this one.
Shinobi 3: Return of the Ninja Master, Joe Musashi. Uh, this is the best Shinobi game, bar none. I mean, this is an easy A. I mean, it's fast paced. You can run in this game. You can hang on ceilings. It's just faster. It's faster paced. I mean, like it's the same thing as what it was with the other Shinobis. Like the combat's very similar, but it's fast paced. It's what you would expect with a ninja game. Like you climb on ceilings, you can do other stuff like that that makes you feel more like you're playing a ninja. This is a easy like up here, probably like around like here. Like it's fast paced ninja fun. Like there's a lot of the aesthetics are really cool. The music's really cool. Like the whole the graphics really were updated, so it looks way better. Like you could tell that Revenge of Shinobi was an early title, and Return of the Ninja Master is just it's a graphical overhaul, like a lot of like cool levels. Like also like all they bring the background in, like the second level, for instance, when you're riding through on the horse and like you see like the old Japanese kites in the background and you see ninjas jump out of them into the sky and then they land in front of you. Just like
Yeah.
that's a cool aesthetic for a Sega Genesis right there. It's like bam, it's like man, that's cool.
Yep. I would agree. Shinobi 3, great game.
Now Sonic 1.
Here
What
we go. Here
do
we go.
we do with Sonic 1?
Sonic 1. is probably my least favorite of the three,
Oh, no
but
doubt.
it's still a great game. It still had great music,
Did.
pretty decent levels, pretty decent for the most part. For being the first Sonic game, he doesn't have the spin dash in this one, which is kind of a little bit of a buzzkill.
Hmm.
But I must say the music fantastic, visuals fantastic. You got dithering in there.
I love
Uh,
dithering. Some people talk shit on dithering. Like, you got guys out there, like, God love him. He's one of my favorite YouTubers out there, Exo Paradigm Gamer. But boy, howdy, you give that guy dithering, like, it's like giving crack to a crackhead. He goes off.
Sonic Sonic 1, I would say compared to the rest is probably like a B minus, or no, like just an average B.
That's
Um
true. Like, I agree with that. Like, I'd probably put it like around like here. I'd put it above Dr. Robotnik's Meme Beam Machine.
yeah, I would too.
It
But
is.
yeah, Sonic 1
Because I mean, it's got the
had
iconic Green Hill Zone, and even then, like, some people, like, again, like, some people don't like the breather zones. Now, I can understand that, like, where it's like more focused on platform than speed. Uh, Marble Zone is out of place. It's too hard for a second zone.
I
That's making
agree.
Spring Hill actually would have been a much better second zone. But
Mhm.
Spring Yard, again, Spring Yard's got some great music, great design. A lot of people don't like it. I actually like Labyrinth Zone,
It's
and
okay.
it's because I like water levels. The whole, like, being in like a sunken temple sort of thing, like where it's like I like the motif. I like the aesthetic. Labyrinth Zone also has good music. Does Here's the thing though, and this is, I think, where a lot of people don't get a little upset with Sonic, is 3 acts makes every zone overstay its welcome.
That's true,
That
and
was
I'm glad they
Sonic
did away with
1's
that.
exactly. Sonic 1's biggest problem was a lot of zones overstayed their welcome because 3 acts was too much. And who fixed that? Sonic 2.
Sonic 2 is an easy A plus for me.
Easy. I agree. Now, again, like, it fix a lot of the issues. Like, it's you still come in, you start off slow with Emerald Hill, and then you go into Chemical Plant, which Chemical Plant ramps the difficulty a little bit, but it's fast paced, it's fun, got great music going in there. Aquatic Ruin is arguably, and you can make a good argument on why it's a better way to do an underwater stage, is because the water punishes you for not not playing like at the top of your game, and you fall off the stage and you end up in the underwater. And if you know, like if you're a seasoned veteran, you've played Aquatic Ruin a number of times, you can stay above water the entire through both acts entirely. Like,
Yep.
Aquatic Ruin is probably the shortest zone if you stay on the upper route the whole time. Like, you can beat that pretty freaking fast. And
Yep. And
my only complaint
Sonic 2.
really about Sonic 2 is I wish it had a battery backup so you could save, because to beat the game in one sitting, it's a slog. It's it's quite a
Especially in the
bit.
last zones, yeah.
Yes, it gets pretty bad. Also, all of the soundtracks, all the tracks in that game are great. The only one that I would complain a little bit about would be Hilltop Zone, because it's a little bit like electronic farts, but that's me. But yeah, Sonic 2's easily. This is you can't like Sonic 2's a great game.
I agree.
Now
A plus.
Sonic 3 and Knuckles, like I don't even need to
It's
debate before putting it there.
yeah, it's S tier, but where is it in S tier?
Where does it go? Okay, so Sonic 3 and Knuckles, the way the game is supposed to be played. No Sonic 3, no Sonic and Knuckles. Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This is the way the game is. It's lock-on technology. Yuji Naka. Lock-on technology. There was Happy Meal toys for this, for God's sakes. It's canon that Sonic eats at McDonald's. Fight me.
Yep. And I mean, I think that Sonic 3 and Knuckles is my favorite Genesis game of all time. I'd probably put it above Echo, but that's
Uh,
just my purview here.
I mean, it's not hard to say that. I mean, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I mean, let's. let's talk about like everything here. I mean, aesthetically wise, I mean, you start the lush green level like you do at everything else here at Angel Island, and then boom, in Act Two, it's on fire. I mean, they changed it up there like that. I mean, like you got Hydro City, which is probably the best. I mean, like again, you could be underwater for a lot of Hydro City, but it never like they're very liberal on like not just air but also the water shields. So
Yeah,
like it doesn't really feel like a hindrance.
not
Um,
at all. The graphics, the visuals are just incredible. I mean, for God's sakes, Michael Jackson helped with the soundtrack.
and even then, if you go to the original, if you've that if you look up the beta build, like the original tracks that were in there were still great on the
Yeah, they
Genesis. On the
were.
PC, they sucked, but on the
Yep.
Genesis, the original tracks were still pretty badass. I mean, this game
Yep.
could never fail.
It is the perfect Genesis game in my opinion.
I agree, and you know what? I would say that too. I would say that this is the top dog. I would say bar none, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the best game that the Sega Genesis ever produced. Like,
Yep.
uh, again, like a lot of people would argue Sonic 2, but I think Sonic 3 took everything Sonic 2 did and made it better. I even like the Sonic's design better. And
Same.
what I would consider the worst track in Sonic 2 is Hilltop Zone, and I still think that's worse than the worst track in Sonic 3, which I would say is Marble Garden, probably. I don't know, or maybe Carnival Night.
Mm, okay.
Either way, like I'd still say that Sonic 3's weakest track is better than Sonic 2's weakest track. Not to bash Sonic 2 here, but I see way too many Sonic 2 apologists out there, and I'm like, nah, man, nah, you got it all wrong. All right, Sonic 3D Blast,
This game is
great
a pretty
soundtrack.
good game. It's okay. Yeah, the soundtrack is the best part of it, and it's a pretty okay game. Like it's isometric, but I mean the platforming kind of sucks a little bit. But it's basically like Flicky in Sonic Land in a three-dimensional space. Um, you go find Flickies and you bring them to the ring, and you open the next door. It's kind of repetitive, but it's an okay game. I think it was a decent, ambitious attempt to make Sonic in 3D before his real official debut of 3D in the Dreamcast. Um, Sonic 3D Blast is pretty good, but not not an A tier. I wouldn't say it's A. I would say maybe like B minus because of its repetitiveness and it's kind of like clunky platforming. But it makes up for it with the visuals and the music.
I agree with that. The uh, the boss fights aren't that bad. Again, the isometrics can bite you in the ass in some of the jumps, but every isometric game really comes down to that. Uh, Luckily, I mean you have Sonic Shadow to help you, but I mean as a whole, like the levels they all differ in aesthetics, which is nice. But it's true, the whole gathering flickies and taking them back is repetitive, and it does not feel like a Sonic game when you're doing that.
Right.
Now, in this list, for some reason, Sonic CD is in here, and it's not actually a part of. It actually looks like the Christian Whitehead Sonic CD,
Yeah.
thing here.
Um, should we even count this? I mean, I have a lot to say about Sonic CD, but it's not really a Genesis game.
It is not a Genesis game, but it's the only Sega CD game in here, and I mean, it is the whole. It is part of like the holy quadrilogy of Sonic games. I mean, everybody always lumps Sonic CD in when they're talking about the early. So I mean, we might as well.
Okay. Well, Sonic CD was developed alongside of Sonic 2, I believe.
Yes.
The American team had Sonic 2 and the Japanese team had CD. They were very different kind of games, but very similar as well. CD had a pretty weird time mechanic where you go in the past and defeat the robots that are, trying to destroy the future, and each time period has its own set of music, has its own visuals, and honestly, it's really cool that they did that. Problem is getting to said time period. is a pain in the ass, even on like the first level, um, because you have to maintain a certain amount of speed to get there, and sometimes if you just like lose that speed because of an enemy or something, you lose the ability to do so until you find another sign. I think that's one of the flaws Sonic CD has going for it. Um, However, the this game has two very different soundtracks. The Japanese version, which is more of like dancey and kind of like a little bit poppy, and then you had the American version, which had more ambient and like more vocals. Both both soundtracks were really good. I prefer the Japanese soundtrack, but there's a few in the American soundtrack which were pretty great as well. Um, Sonic CD, uh, it was a fun game. You could rush through it and just get through it without going through the time warps. But to really experience it, you have to actually, play it correctly. Um, Special stage was kind of cool, but a little frustrating. The Christian Whitehead version made it a whole lot better than the original. I like Sonic CD a lot. I'd probably put it under Ristar
All
at
right.
an A.
I can agree with a lot of what you said there, and I want to say that I think did the didn't the American team change the music because they didn't think like the American audience would like the Japanese or
I
something?
actually
Like it was too.
don't know why they did it.
I want to say
But
I remember here because I've watched like I watched so many retrospectives like watch and like quote to air quotes here because like I'll have them on while I'm doing like making video like doing whatever it is my thing and I want to say it was like something that like they thought that like Americans would not like the Japanese soundtrack for some reason or another.
which was weird because I don't know, it was more electronically, more like synthesizers and stuff like that. You got Stardust Speedway, which is probably the best track in the game. Yeah, I don't know why they did it, but they did it. Although I'll have to say that the intro song for the American version was pretty. I think it was better. Sonic Boom
Yeah,
versus do 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 do.
yeah.
That was the Japanese version. I like both of them a lot, but I think Sonic Boom was like really, it like really set the tone for the game.
Oh yeah. And but on top of that, I mean, Sonic CD does just kind of feel like at the same time, like with stage wise. I mean, it's nice that you don't have to with all past, present, future. Like you have the special stages, which you get the special stages the same way you do as in Sonic One, right? 50 rings at the end of the stage.
Mm,
Well, I mean, again, so you don't need to collect the time emeralds. You can also just go to the past and destroy like the Badnik repo thing that makes the Badniks come out, and you can get a good future. And that's another way that you can go to get the best ending. If you're into that sort of thing, it really doesn't even make a difference at the end of the day. But you do have that, and a lot of the stages do just kind of feel like enhanced versions of Sonic One stages. Like Title Tempest is just uh, Labyrinth Zone and stuff like that. But
yeah,
Wacky Workbench just kind of like flat out sucks. But other than that, like
yeah,
Sonic
that's a
CD is
bad stage.
a very good game, and I would probably put it like I'm gonna put Sonic 2 probably ahead of it, but
Yeah,
Ristar,
I agree with
there you
that.
go. All right, so there we go. Sonic CD. See, that was worth putting on there. Now we got
Okay,
Sonic Spinball.
Sonic Spinball. Sonic Spinball is like a pretty okay pinball game. Great soundtrack. Makes use of the Genesis grit that we all know and love. Um, the options menu music is just ear grating though.
Yeah. Some people
uh,
really hate the soundtrack from Sonic Spinball. Like I've seen that soundtrack get a lot of hate.
which is weird. I like it a lot. The first level's pretty great, and the second levels is pretty great. The boss music is great. Sonic Spinball is it's kind of hard, honestly. It's kind of tough. Sonic doesn't control like he does when he's not in the pinball portion, so it feels kind of off. But it's just one of those really weird. It's like Sonic Spinball had uh like weird visuals. Like it was very like intimidating almost.
Yeah,
The intro video is like Tails and Sonic flying into like Robotnik's lair, I guess, and it was just like red and black, and it was like I can't, it was just like really creepy, honestly. And the game is kind of creepy. Like the first boss is like Scorpion Robotnik, and he looks really scary, like he does on the cover of Sonic 2, like
yeah.
the not, yeah, I guess it would be like the box art. He just looks menacing, and I don't know. I think the game is good, but it's just difficult. Um, I'd probably put this game at like probably like a C plus ish, maybe around Kid Chameleon and Decap Attack.
Oh yeah, Sonic Spinball. Uh, well, let's think. It's true. Like the aesthetics really always. I remember as as an adult it didn't bother me, but as a kid when I rented this game scared me.
Yeah.
It did. It scared me. And like again, when I play Sonic, I don't expect like these like dark, gritty. Like again, the game is very dark. It's very like a lot of it. Like I don't know, but I do kind of agree. Like it doesn't deserve a D spot, but we're gonna go ahead and put it here in the C. We'll figure out. Well, if we'll move it around. But Space Harrier 2 is, I mean, the Genesis had a lot of arcade ports, and the Genesis impressed us with a lot of arcade ports. Space
Uh
Harrier
huh.
2 was not one of those games.
Yeah, Space Harrier 2 was kind of light on content. I mean, it was just like a honestly like a side scroller, but from a third person perspective
Hmm.
behind the character, and it was, yeah, it's just not very fun. Like it's an arcade game that they kept throwing back on various different consoles going forward just because it was there, and it wasn't a terrible game. I wouldn't put it an F. Maybe like, yeah, I mean a D sounds deserving. I don't know. Either D or low C minus.
I just don't
That
think it
would
was
be
a
my
good
opinion.
arcade port, and also like I don't know,
Right.
like with all the terrain hazards you had too, there was so much you had to watch out for. There was just like it just seems like it was a quarter muncher is what it was designed to be anyway.
Yeah.
Now, here we go. Streets of Rage trilogy. Now,
Okay.
we're gonna start. I'm gonna go ahead, even though I'm gonna go ahead and go in actual like chronological order. So, Streets of Rage 1. I'm gonna go ahead and come
Okay.
out and immediately say I think Streets of Rage 1 is my favorite Streets of Rage game, and that's probably because it did come on six pack and I played it the most as a kid. But I prefer the soundtrack from Streets of Rage 1 to Streets of Rage 2.
I agree.
And I actually prefer the smaller sprite. I don't like the big sprites usually in the at least in like the Genesis games, like the larger models, like we saw in like the D&D fighting game we did. I was pretty cool with like bigger models, like more like detail on them. But on the Genesis, I don't know.
Yeah, the Genesis had a lower resolution, so it had to be. But yeah, I agree with Streets of Rage being my favorite. I think Streets of Rage 2 probably comes close, if not like right beside Streets of Rage 1.
I
But
can agree with that
3,
because they're both A. They're both easy A's.
yeah. Um 3 though, I remember not being impressed.
I again like yeah, I did not care for Streets of Rage 3. I mean, I could probably even put it in a C somewhere.
Yeah,
But again, I mean, they're all beat 'em ups. It's like you're really just going off of music and like aesthetics at this point because they're all just running around mashing buttons, really. And
right.
at the same time, like I do like Streets of Rage 1. It really comes down to like the biggest like because again, Streets of Rage 2 added in special attacks, and I did really like that. Like other than just calling in police backup, you could add had special attacks. I like that, but I like the dark, grittier feeling of Streets of Rage 1. I think it captured what the game was trying to do better, and I think the soundtrack was better.
Yep,
Not take away from
I can
Streets of Rage
agree.
2, which also had a good soundtrack, but Streets of Rage 1 just does it for me. Super Thunderblade. That's a game I think I probably tried to play 10 times and end up playing for like a minute at most and then turning off because it just does not interest me. So
Never played it.
I'm just gonna put it under here then, because again, like I just can't get it. Sword of Vermilion. Sword of Vermilion. Jeez, what can I say about Sword of Vermilion? It's not very good.
I've
That's for
never
sure.
played it.
Sword of Vermilion is it's it's not the worst game on the Genesis, but I don't know what Sega was. I'm pretty sure Sega made Sword of Vermilion. I don't know what they were really thinking with that. I mean, like, okay, so like you go to towns and you talk to people. You got to get maps from them. Here's the thing, like you gotta find yourself walking around like, okay, so it's a first person perspective when you're outside of town or you're in a dungeon, right? And you press your cardinal directions, like you can only move forward, and like you press right to face right, and then you press forward. Anyway, you get to an area and you don't have a map for it. That little map it has to show you where you're at is just as complete. It's just brown. There's just nothing there except for your guy. And it's like, oh, you don't have a map for here. You're screwed. So you have to talk to people, get maps. Boss fights are kind of like a 2D beat 'em up. Like think like how like Dragon View works on the SNES, and
Uh
that's
huh.
how boss fights work. It's actually not bad. It's pretty cool. Regular fights are terrible. Magic works really well, but you can find yourself getting owned. Like you can just get into like a regular fight, and like there's no vulnerability frames or anything, and you just have like 8 guys run into you, and you die. Um,
Never played it.
the story's not particularly bad, but it's not good either. Uh, I'm gonna give Sword of Vermilion a D. I don't really much care for it.
Okay.
The music's not particularly good either. Okay, so we got the Toe Jam and Earl game. So we'll do Panic on Funkatron second, because that is the sequel. The
Okay.
first Toe Jam and Earl game. Yeah, you look for elevators. You try to get to the top. I didn't play the game too much because again, it's one of those types of games that really doesn't interest me. The original.
Yeah, there wasn't much music in it. All I remember is just like the original theme playing throughout the whole thing, and maybe the elevator scene has different music, but other than that, I mean, it was a very early roguelike, which is, ambitious and all, but it wasn't too good. I don't really like the original Toe Jam and Earl, other than like the very little music it had, and it was stylish in its own right, but it doesn't really make up for the gameplay being so boring.
Well, where would you put it? Because I think I literally played it once, and I don't really remember it that well.
I'd probably give it a D plus.
All right, we'll put it above Sword of Vermilion.
It's just not that good.
All right, so we played Panic on Funkatron not that long ago. I don't remember how far
Yes.
we made it, like in all everything's considered, but like aesthetically, I think the game looked pretty cool.
Yeah. It did look great. The soundtrack is much better than the first. I think Toe Jam and Earl work better in a side scroller. There is a lot. There's a lot of levels. It seems like a lot of gameplay. It has some flaws, like the underwater stages are just way too sweaty.
Yeah.
Um,
And the two player could have been done better, but I'm not gonna really like judge it harshly on that.
yeah. It definitely had limitations to the resolution. If there was a bigger resolution, the game would be a lot better. If there was an indicators where your second player was, if he
Mhm.
was off the screen, then it would be a lot better.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's a pretty good game. I think it's one of the better ones on the Genesis. I'd probably put this at like an A minus.
I can agree with that. I actually really enjoyed playing that. And also, like it's the whole thing about like all the crazy characters, the kooky dialogue. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
All right, then we got Vector Man 1 and 2. Vector Man 2 is a lot harder than Vector Man 1, but they're late games in the Genesis.
Yeah,
They're not
they're
bad. I mean, they're pretty enjoyable.
yeah, Vector Man 1 and 2 are fine.
They
They're
control well.
they control well. They're pretty generic though in the aesthetic department.
I can agree with that.
Um I wouldn't put this really below B, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that because they're very solid games. Gotta put Vector Man, Vector Mang, Virtua Fighter 2.
Now another game that really isn't on the Genesis.
Yeah, it's a game that really didn't belong on the Genesis. In fact, the Virtua Fighter 2 arcade I think was entirely different than Virtua Fighter on the Genesis.
Yeah.
And again, like when it came to fighting games on the Genesis, like I wish they would have put in like World Champions. Like that was a pretty cool SNK game, or even Fatal Fury 2. But instead we got
Uh-huh.
Virtua Fighter. Well, I mean that's I guess all of these games like I don't know. Like on the Sega Genesis Mini, they did have Street Fighter 2.
Okay,
But
okay.
like on here, it's like yeah, it's like why did we get these crappy fighting games? Why did we get Eternal Champions and then Virtua Fighter 2? Again though, like
Yeah, it's a good
Virtua Fighter
question.
2, I never really played. Like I watched gameplay videos and they didn't really interest me, but I still don't want to bash a game that I haven't myself played. So
Sure.
Wonder Boy Monster World, that's an easy A. That game is it's a lot of fun. It's got cute, charming graphics to it. I put in the wrong Wonder Boy here. I actually never the one that I grabbed I actually never played, so we're gonna go ahead and put it down there. But Wonder Boy Monster World, that is an easy A. And like I said, cute, charming graphics. It's very linear. Like you go to one town, you do once you're done there, you go on to the next one. You buy equipment there, kill monsters. It's just 2D. It's kind of like Zelda 2 Sans like no like weird overworld.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's a really fun game, and actually, like the dungeons I would compare to Zelda 2. It's a fun game. It's got nice graphics. It's an easy A. There's not like a whole lot of games like that in the 16-bit era, and yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. And, that's every game here that you can get on Steam for Sega Genesis.
And I mean, I'd say it's a pretty solid list here. Um, I wouldn't really like shuffle too much around.
It's true. We can go to a quick look over once over here. In fact, I'd probably put maybe do that. What else we got here? Anything else we might want to move around? Probably put Shining Force above that. Uh, yeah, I mean this is some pretty solid stuff here. Still surprised Landstalker's my top B, and I think I bashed that game more than I praised it, but I do actually think that's a good game.
Yeah.
And that's good. Didn't end up with a whole lot of games under the did not play, but that's good. We ended up, and the only F we got was Eternal Champions, but that's just that's a bad game, and I didn't play it that much, but I have to put it under there just from principle alone. That like you can't just make things like intentionally grotesque and expect people to like it. It's like I get it, you're Sega, you're edgy. It's like, but that was just bad. But no, I dig this. This is the definitive list right here, people. Like if you ask people, people are like, okay, I need a definitive tier list on these Sega games here on Steam. Boom, right here, it exists. In fact, that's what I'm gonna end up calling this the definitive tier list.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I'm looking at this and I dig it. I dig it.
I
So
do too.
if that's it, no last movements, no last moment movements here from you.
I'd probably put Vector Man above Sonic 3D Blast.
All
That's
right,
the only thing I could think of.
Vector Man. There we go. Well, we're gonna have Sonic 3D Blast against Revenge of Shinobi.
Yeah.
He deserves that. And the rest of
Other
this,
than that, yeah, it seems good to me.
yeah, I dig this. This is some good stuff here. So everybody, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out Polybius's channel as well. I'll somehow like put that at the end of the video too if I can.
Okay.
And yeah, I say if you want to go ahead and leave a comment down below on why we didn't suck off treasure enough by making every single treasure game S rank, go ahead and let me know why I'm a moron. Other than that, please go ahead and enjoy these games and come back every day. The channel needs the
Thank
views,
you.
so really come back every day.